What's up, Armando?
Hey, good to see you, buddy. Welcome.
What is this?
Welcome. All right.
What is
come on
this?
in. It's our
Vintage
open
guitar
house.
workshop?
That's right. Come on in. We got guitars, all kinds of fun stuff.
You guys a new shop, right?
That's right. Yeah, come down and see us in Carlsbad, California.
Love it.
Thank you.
Where's Uncle Bob? Uncle Bob, say hi to YouTube.
How you doing?
What are we doing here?
We're having a little open house at Vintage Guitar Workshop in Carlsbad. You know, we do string repair and amp repair and pedal repair. Andrew, it's been so good getting to know you.
Okay.
And we're all professional players. Got great amp tech, great string repair tech. Get right with you, nephew.
All right, Uncle Bob, I know you're busy. My favorite player is here. Show me some lick, show me some lick. Thank you, Keenan. Yeah, with Uncle Terry. Is there another uncle?
That's my pedal board.
So what'd you get there?
Volume pedal, EP booster. This is Kyle Chase secret preamp, it's called. Then we got the Octonaut, which is like a Klon Pog. I got a reverb pedal, an older full tone there, and then that Juliana is not plugged in, but that's like
Anything that you do in effects loop?
No.
Just straight.
I only have old Fender amps. I don't have any amps with effects loops.
Oh, okay. And right now you're plugging into a dual reverb, right?
Reissue Deluxe.
Yeah, deluxe reverb.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. We got a whole day here.
So we're getting some fundraising here. This is the repair room.
This is the repair room.
Repair room here. We got some retail here. We got some strats and some guitars for sale. This is our amp room, Anthony. Terry, Anthony. Simone. So yeah, man, you can.
This is a cool spot.
A lot of amps plugged into. We can sit and lay and jam. So no problem at all. So Anthony,
All right.
you met Anthony Andrew?
Yeah, no. I heard your music.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Instagrams and all this stuff.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
good. I like it. You got the R&B, blues.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. You play on the stage too, right? Like the San Diego Music Award.
Yep. Thank you so much.
You play with the timpani and then with some.
sometimes timbales and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
timbali. Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Pretty cool.
Thank you.
I
so
like
much.
it.
There's so much background. It's so thick.
Yeah.
guitar.
What year is it?
2010 maybe.
Okay, so it's quite new.
It's not a Fender.
What did you do with the tone pot over there? Is that something custom?
Oh no, I got it at NAMM show. It's just a wood knob.
Oh, that's
nothing.
pretty, man. That looks perfect with the color of the guitar. Yeah, it's really nice.
I saw a guy that had all these knobs, and I was like, hey, can I buy a couple of these?
A critical balance between the volume of the guitar and the sustain. Electronics, often people come in with, especially since we live near the ocean, your pots, your metal components, electronic components, they oxidize just from salt from the air. And we will spray them with a deoxidizing component to eliminate the noise that causes and crackles and things like that. The saddle height and the break angle, which is the angle of the string over the saddle, are critical to the tone of the guitar. So we'll check all those things. And the relationship of the bridge height and radius and the neck radius are also critical, so that you don't get buzzing or you get the proper flow of the string, the proper vibration of the string. And I'm going to hand it back to Holland now, because she's much more interesting than me, and she's going to do the next part.
I am going to add something too on why we check all these. Thank you. When there's kind of a whole system, I kind of like to think of it as like PEMDAS, if you guys remember that from math class. The reason that we're checking your string gauge, your scale length, your relief, all that, it all goes hand in hand, if that makes sense, and I'm sure most of you know that. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. So when it comes to, like, if we're dealing with a Gibson versus a Fender, Gibson's 24 1/4 scale length, Fender's 25 1/2. So when it comes to string gauge, next thing that we're being focused on is your string gauge. The heavier the string that you, for a shorter scale length, you want a heavier string because you're losing tension with that shorter scale length. So you want to add a little bit more tension, which then, that affects your the relief in your neck and or the bowing in your neck. So anyway, yeah, those all go hand in hand. I just wanted to throw that out there. And just some things that you can do to help maintain your instrument in between setups. Humidification is a huge thing, especially out here. I mean, we have this is probably the best place to be, honestly, to help keep your instrument humidified. But it's still important. It still gets dry out here, so throw a humidipack in there, please. String changes and cleaning too. And I know if we're talking about hollow bodies, anything that has a floating bridge, there's easy, it can seem a little scary to do, but there's ways that you could take it slowly. For a hollow body, I would recommend changing the strings one by one, actually. Keep your bridge in place, keep your intonation in place. And you could even do a little truss rod turn if you're comfortable with it. I say don't be scared, just take it slow. And those are just some things that you can do to help us out too when you bring them on in. So anyway.
Yeah, there are seasonal things that happen every 3 times a year as well that affect your guitar. The humidity changes and the temperature changes. All of that affects your guitar. So you got to maintain that. You got to keep up with that. Next slide.
Actually, real quick,
That's it.
before we move
That's the
on,
last slide.
before we move on real quick, so do we have any questions so far? You got
Yes.
electronics,
Some questions.
guitars, go ahead.
So it's mostly, I think it's for you. Well, I'll bring my
Okay.
acoustic guitar in, which I hardly ever play.
All
Have you
right.
set it up?
Okay.
But how would you approach a truss rod, a broken truss rod, and a 69 P bass, maple neck?
Okay.
You can't remove the fretboard.
You cannot remove the fretboard.
How would you
Well,
fix that?
you would have to route out the skunk stripe.
Where the skunk stripe
Yes.
is, okay.
You'd have to route out the skunk stripe
Alright.
and take out the whole truss rod. And it's a
I was wondering about
it's a big job. Yeah.
Big and expensive job.
And an expensive job. And if it's a rosewood fretboard, then you have to actually take out the frets and peel the fretboard off to get to the accents. Yes, sir. You with the camera?
Yeah, on the humidipacks, do they add and subtract moisture?
They do. They'll put what moisture. The Diodario, is that it?
Yes.
The Diodario humidipacks. They'll actually they contain gel liquid, and they'll put moisture in, and it'll actually so it equalizes the moisture in your car.
Or use the Boveda. They're the same.
Both the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered about that, if it was just for humidifying or if it
does equalizes the humidity. Yes.
Yeah, my question about the same line of issues there. As far as humidity, I think humidity is much more important than like the various temperature changes,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, back east, where people are heating their houses constantly all winter long, it's a big problem. It's not such a big problem out here, but every winter when I was working back east, I would get new cracks in their guitars every year. Yeah.
And that's on acoustic guitars?
Acoustic guitars. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Do you believe that if you have a stainless steel frets, your string is gonna stay longer before it gets corroded?
No.
No.
No. I
You don't think so?
Depends on how much you're playing it and how clean or dirty your hands are.
I don't think the frets affect string wear that much. In fact, I would say stainless steel frets would probably wear your frets out faster because they're steel instead of nickel. Whereas you're kind of wearing out your fret and your string kind of equally with nickel frets.
What usually the differences between the nickel and stainless steel frets that you can notice it right away?
It's a different feel. The nickel frets are kind of a softer feel, whereas stainless steel is steel, so it's a very dense and hard material. One issue with stainless steel frets that I always bring up, I had a guitar that I bought from New Jersey, the G&L guitar from 1980, beautiful guitar, ebony fretboard, stainless steel fret. What happened was, because it was in New Jersey, like I was saying, the ebony wood, which is really susceptible to this, the ebony dried out, and then the stainless steel frets, because they're steel, they have a bend in them. What happens to steel, it's a spring, it unbends, so after 30 years, and no ebony to hold it in place, all of the frets just kind of unbent and flattened out. So I had what we call fret sprout, all up and down the whole neck of the guitar. I refretted it with nickel frets, haven't had a problem since. So just a note on stainless steel frets, that's an issue.
The amplifiers, because I know that there's different components that go bad. What do most people bring in for the shop here to have you repair? In case you guys didn't know, John also repairs pedals, any music electronics, specifically amps and guitar pedals.
Electronics are my specialty. I've been doing it since I was about 19 years old, and I'm much older than that now. But amps, let me just talk about tube amps for a while. We weren't going to go into this because I didn't think we would have enough time, but tube amps contain capacitors galore, like 20 of them, 30 of them sometimes. And capacitors, especially electrolytic capacitors, have liquid. They have materials that deteriorate over the years, and they have a shelf life. I always compare capacitors to batteries because they function very similarly to batteries in that they charge and discharge, but they do it hundreds of times a second. Charge, discharge, charge, discharge. And similar to batteries, they contain chemicals that will leak out and dry out over the years. So if you have an amp that's 30 years old, even if it's been sitting in the corner, hasn't been played for 30 years, those capacitors are bad. And when you turn that amp on, it's probably going to blow up. So when I get a new amp in, and it still has the original 30-year-old, 40-year-old capacitors in it, I don't even plug it in, I don't even turn it on. I take those capacitors out, I replace them, then I plug it in, then I see what's up with it.
Do you usually use Variac to do that?
I don't use a Variac, no. I don't own a Variac. If I hadn't, do you have one?
Well, it's with Terry right now.
I'd love to have a Variac. No. I bring the amps back here so I don't have them in the tech room. I open the back door, and if they blow up, the smoke goes out the back. So that doesn't happen often, but as Holland will tell you, it does happen sometimes.
Hey, John, so
Yes, sir.
Basically, if you have an old amplifier and you're using it every day, where those capacitors are getting charged and discharged on a daily basis, does that basically improve the longevity of your capacitors?
No, they're gonna go bad no matter whether you're using them or not using them.
Okay.
So that's a concern. If you have old amps, that's always a concern. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, I want you to put new old stock capacitors in my amp." I'm like, that's like putting an old battery, a 50-year-old battery in your car. You don't want to do that. You're gonna end up on the side of the road somewhere. That's a no-no. So other components, resistors, other things like that, you can use those for
FNT or Sprague?
Oh, Sprague is the best.
You don't like FNT?
They're fine.
All right.
Yes, sir.
What about solid state? You work
I do work on solid state amps, yeah. Sometimes they can be a little bit more complicated. If it gets to the point where it's some of the most modern, like modeling amps and things like that, you just can't. The circuitry is so tiny, you can't get a soldering iron in there. There's nothing I can do with those. But most solid state amps, yeah, I can repair them.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right, now we're gonna do a little Beastie Boys rap.
John.
All right, awesome.
No,
John.
I got one more. Got one more. John, got one more.
Can you talk about cables?
Oh yeah, that's another thing. We didn't have time to do this either, but I make my own Tone Science cables. There's some of them out there in the front if you want to try them, and I will guarantee you'll hear a difference between my cables and the average cable on the market because I use better wire, better ends, better components, hand soldered. I use Mogami cable. Canary cable, which is the same kind that Mogami uses. It is 99% braided shield, 20 gauge copper center conductor. You will not find better cable. The difference between the Mogamis is they use Neutrik ends, which are made in Sweden somewhere, and I use American-made Switchcraft ends. Yes, America first. All right, thank you, everybody.
A star, 1,000 of your charm, and I wonder when you're coming home. Ever since that day that you went away, my heart has emptied the same.
today at a Carlsbad, right, folks? I'm with my uncle Bob Ryan.
See you, Andrew.
And then he's a really great. He's just my role model for a guitar player.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, dude.
He's
I
been
have to say
playing
that.
in San Diego for a long time.
45 years playing clubs.
Yeah. Look at the truck. Look at the truck. His truck on the back.
My truck.
Yeah.
So it's get it in the frame. 635,000 miles. Original motor. Mostly gig miles. Mostly instruments you have. All this rack equipment you're famous for.
Nah, but I love your shop.
I appreciate you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Good guitar player, folks. Good guitar player. Good guitar
No,
player.
Uncle Bob is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I learned a lot from you. Yeah, when you play, you know, you get like that bending,
Yeah.
like that country. I think like that's really lovely.
I'm very lucky to have Andrew. We met how long ago?
About like 6 months.
6
right?
months. Yeah.
Come by to your
So
shop.
you're one of my
Yeah.
favorite customers, really. I'm serious.
You'll see soon, like about the Dann Huff project for the Strat. I've done it with these guys. You guys should
Pretty
check
cool.
out. Just wait.
And
for
I knew
that.
Dan. I'm an older guy. Dan Huff was the LA guy. I'm a huge Dan Huff fan, and know that he went to Nashville, super ace producer, super ace guitar player. But I hadn't thought about him in a few years, and it's been nice to revisit him through you and that whole era.
Dan
I
is
dug
lovely.
that.
Dom, Dan Bukovac, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah.
guys, right? And then I tell you what, he knows Dean Parks.
He's a good
He's a
friend.
friend of Dean Parks.
Dang right. Appreciate it. Dean's a good
yeah.
friend of mine. I've done gigs with him. Genius man.
When you had that company, right? When you had that company with your brother,
Yeah.
you were like, there's like a pictures between you and Dean.
Yeah. We had a booth at NAMM, and Dean came and demoed at NAMM with us.
Right.
So you're dang right. I got pictures of that with me sitting with Dean.
I still can't believe that you're here in the shop.
Well, it's a good day gig for me. I work the front counter. I'm running off to a gig today. You know, I do some freelance gigging, which keeps me happy. But I appreciate you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.